Welcome in, everybody, to the 423 Football Podcast. Today is our Week 7 preview show. If you've been listening the past couple weeks, you know that we record our recap show and our preview show back-to-back. So we just got done recording the recap, and now Week 7 preview. Today we're going to go through our matchups and our starts and sits at the very end, so definitely want to stick around for the starts and sits. But yeah, I'm your host, Brandon Bouchard, joined here again by Brett Hamilton.
Hello.
And Kevin Johnson. And in between recording these two shows, we had some pretty big breaking news. Ezekiel Elliott did get his restraining order, so as of now, he will play this week. That's pretty much all I'm going to say. That's all I know, because next week it could change. Obviously,
change next hour, who knows?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. It definitely hurts for any of those people who picked up Alfred Morris and Gary McFadden off of waivers and wasted the waiver, but I don't know. Maybe he gets suspended in a few weeks, but it's definitely, I don't know. It's just a crazy situation. Hopefully it doesn't get to the point where he's suspended during the playoffs, fantasy playoffs, because that's going to be no bueno for a lot of players.
Yeah.
That is what I hoped for at the beginning of the season. Me as in my nihilistic view.
All right, so yeah, big news there. Now, the last episode, I know last week we did our beer of the episode segment, and we only have one beer with us today. So today's beer is actually going to be a pumpkin beer purchased by Brett Hamilton. Thank you very much. From Shipyard Brewing Company. Pumpkinhead from Shipyard Brewing Company.
It's got a baller label on it.
It does.
Looks like a statue of a dude riding a horse with a pumpkin head.
Yeah.
It's dumb
The
look.
label is dope.
I will say that's probably 99% of the reason I bought it.
Well,
It also
was just for the
tastes
label.
It tastes like a PSL put in with hops.
we just got like 1,000 new viewers.
We're attracting a new crowd.
Just say PSL. No
Hashtag
fog.
PSL, hashtag white girl wasted.
All right. Before we move into our matchups, I'm gonna have like a little segment, just like a this or that segment, and basically I'll give you a player, and then I'll list a bunch of other players, and you tell me if you'd rather have that player or this player. All right. So first one, we got Adrian Peterson. He's the this. He's the this.
Give me the that.
The that. All right. Adrian Peterson or Carlos Hyde?
Hyde.
Adrian Peterson or C.J. Anderson?
Siege.
Adrian Peterson.
That one was tough for
Adrian Peterson or Mark Ingram?
Mark Ingram.
Yeah, Mark Ingram.
All right, Ty Montgomery or Adrian Peterson?
Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson.
All right. Next one, Jordy Nelson is the this. Jordy Nelson or Doug Baldwin?
Doug Baldwin.
Jordy.
Jordy or Stephon Diggs?
Jordy.
Jordy or Larry Fitzgerald?
Jordy.
Jordy or Brandon Cooks?
Jordy.
Brandon Cooks.
All right, we got. I guess I was trying to find the breaking point there.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks he's my boy.
All right. Deshaun Watson is the this. Deshaun Watson or Drew Brees?
Drew Brees.
Deshaun Watson, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
It's not close.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, Cam Newton.
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson.
Deshaun Watson. The only two guys that
was painful.
that I would want to have more than Deshaun Watson are Brees and Brady.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Watson, he's showing he can do it. He's leading the league in touchdown passing right now. So
yeah, I definitely don't blame you on that pick.
Pretty big. All right, now for the boring one, tight ends.
But there's so many.
Yeah, Evan Ingram's the this. Obviously, he's the pretty much focal point of the passing game.
He's the receiver.
The new hotness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evan Ingram or Zach Ertz?
Oh, Ertz all the way.
Ertz for sure.
Evan Ingram or Cameron Brate?
Evan Ingram.
Cameron Brate.
Evan Ingram or Hunter Henry?
Ingram.
I'm gonna say Ingram, but I like the trend that Hunter Henry is on.
Yep.
Yeah. Evan Ingram or Delaney Walker.
Delaney Walker.
Evan Ingram, Delaney Walker has not done anything to impress me at all this year.
Yeah, so, surprisingly, I really like Delaney Walker's talent.
Oh yeah,
this year.
he is an insanely talented tight end in every aspect of the game. The Titans are just not.
Yeah.
For some reason, they just look sloppy.
Yeah, I think Evan Ingram's going to be
Yeah.
pretty much the future at tight end position, as long as he can stay healthy, which says a lot more than most tight ends.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to jump into the Week 7 matchups preview. Obviously, this week we got two. We only have two teams on bye. Lions are on bye. Texans on bye. So, I mean, pretty big name players from both sides. More so with
Mostly
the Texans.
on the Texans, yeah.
The rookie sensations get to have a rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be good for them, though.
Yeah. All right. First matchup of the week, we got the Chiefs going up against the Raiders on Thursday night. Chiefs coming off first loss of the season, while the Raiders trying to find some rhythm. Really, Kareem Hunt, you're rolling out there pretty much every week at this point. Tyreek Hill, we had a little scare, thought he might have a concussion, but apparently we're all good there. No concussion for Tyreek Hill. Now Marshawn Lynch. Is he playable from this point on, really?
Not until he shows me something.
No. I mean, I can see a situation where you have to play him if you've got, say, a Lamar Miller or something, and you may have to slide him into the flex position, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I think he's certainly a better NFL running back than he is a fantasy option.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's true.
Do you think, I mean, I would definitely try to sell him right now, but do you really think anyone would offer anything for him?
No. I don't even think he has name value right now.
Yeah. All right. And then another guy struggling on the Raiders, Amari Cooper, pretty much has done nothing the past 4 weeks. What is your outlook on him going forward?
I think this week will be a good game for him.
Yeah, he had 2 big catches called back this week, and he runs routes like he always has. He looks like a freak of nature. He is a very talented wide receiver. He's just in a slump. Jack Del Rio, all the organization are calm about it. They're not stressed about it. He's not down on himself. He's just in a slump.
Few people can get as wide open as he can. It's just the fact that he can't catch it right now, which you have to assume that he's still a young player. It's going to come back to him.
And he's also been having inconsistent quarterback play to boot.
Also, that's very true.
Yeah. Now he might be matched up with Marcus Peters quite a bit in this game, so that definitely an issue if he is.
I wouldn't start Amari Cooper, but I also think that his outlook is better than his stat line looks.
Yeah.
I think he can beat Marcus Peters, but I think it's going to come down to his quarterback play.
Yeah. All right. I got the Chiefs winning this game. What do you got?
I think the Chiefs are going to bounce back.
I do have the Chiefs.
All right. Saints and Packers. Obviously, no Aaron Rodgers for a while. So, question is, can Brett Hundley give the Packers enough to survive and provide fantasy relevance to his teammates? Most notably, I guess, the wide receivers and running backs. So, yeah, and in this game, it's a good matchup. Saints don't have that stout of a defense. At least I don't think so. They're vulnerable. They're definitely not as good as the Vikings defense that the Packers matched up with last week. But what do you, just going forward, because we're going to be talking about this every week, what do you think, or what do you expect out of the Packers from a fantasy perspective?
I think they'll still all have all the relevant fantasy pieces will still have value. I think Randall Cobb's value is actually going to go up because he's more of the possession receiver on that team as opposed to Devontae Adams. Adams is more of a touchdown guy. So I actually like Randall Cobb in this game. I think it's just going to be a totally different scheme. I mean, when you take out, the best QB in the league, I mean, that completely changes your whole offense. It's going to be weird. It's going to be something that reminiscent of 2013, where it's just a different play style. But I think that we're still going to see some fantasy relevance out of those players. Yeah,
I think there's going to be a lot of screen passes and dump offs, but I will say I think Cobb, his value goes down, and Devontae or down more than Devontae or Jordy because one, Devontae and Jordy are bigger receivers. If anyone's going to get the touchdowns, yes, it will be them. But in this past game, I mean, Jordy had, I believe, 6 catches, all but one, I believe, from Brett Hundley. Devontae Adams, same thing. I think he had 6 catches for a touchdown. So I think he'll lean more on those guys because they're bigger targets. And Randall Cobb, if you watch Packer games the past couple years, if he's not getting stuff, like obviously if he's not if he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers throwing him just bullets in the perfect position and throwing him open, it really hasn't been that great. So I don't know. We're going to be looking at that going forward.
Yeah.
All right. Like I said, good matchup for both teams offensively. You're pretty much starting all your Saints, I believe. I don't think you're pulling any punches there.
Don't get scared of Michael Thomas having a bad week. He was blanketed by Darius Slay in the weirdest NFL game I've seen in a long time. So
Darius Slay had a heck of a game. I mean, that strip interception was just nasty.
Yeah. All right. Saints and Packers. Who you got winning?
I've got the Saints.
I have the Saints as well.
I'm going to stick with the Packers.
I know you can't. Don't bet against your own team.
All right, Buccaneers and Bills.
Speaking of my own team.
Yeah, Bucks coming off Bucks coming off a near Ryan Fitzpatrick-led comeback while the Bills are fresh off a bye. So I guess the main thing we're going to be looking at, Jameis Winston, we're going to have to monitor all week with the AC joint sprain. Is it in his throwing shoulder or?
It is. It is throwing shoulder.
All right, so that might add to the.
Yeah.
I don't know how scared you are of Jameis, but Bills a pretty tough matchup. Are you worried about starting any of your Bucks?
I'm still, even if it's Ryan Fitzmagic, I don't think. I mean, you can't sit Mike Evans.
Yes, it's the age-old adage of start your studs. Like you're going to run Doug Martin out there, you're going to run Mike Evans out there. Probably you're going to run a Cameron Brate out there.
Yeah.
But if Winston doesn't play,
it's definitely a downgrade to the team.
Don't expect them to be as productive as usual. They can still produce those numbers, but they're not as sure of a thing.
Yeah. Ryan Fitzpatrick had that nasty throw to. Was more of it was a perfect throw, but it was also a perfect catch from Mike Evans for that touchdown. Golly.
And Fitzpatrick is a very serviceable NFL quarterback. He is probably one of the top tier backups you can have in the league.
Yeah,
definitely. He just throws interceptions.
Yeah, but just want to point out the Bills have yet to give up a touchdown to a wide receiver this year.
That is really impressive.
Something to think about. Tre'Davious White, speaking of rookies, has looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I think Mike Evans will be fine. He was obviously fine last week against Patrick Peterson, so we're all good there. On the Bills side of the ball, Tyrod Taylor and LaShawn McCoy are pretty much the only, until Charles Clay gets back, but they're pretty much the only Bills worth starting at this point. Is there any other Bill you'd consider?
I would not consider any of them.
Zay Jones has been horrible.
That's so. I was so hyped coming into the season on him. I feel awful about it.
Wide receivers in the NFL, PFF has ranked him 107th.
So, no good.
I mean, he's just so bad.
Yeah. All right, who you got winning this game?
Well. Never bet against your own team. I got the Bucks.
I also have the Buccaneers.
I got the Bills, actually.
Nice.
I gotta make a comeback on Brett for the pick'ems.
Yeah, I'm thrashing you.
All right, Panthers and Bears. Great matchup for the Panthers.
Yeah.
Much tougher matchup for Mitch Trubisky. Trubisky's kind of, he's just now getting going. He's looked okay, but I don't know. He still doesn't. He doesn't have weapons to really help him do anything. So they're getting creative, having Tariq Cohen throw touchdown passes instead.
Maybe he might be the starting QB.
Maybe. But speaking of, I guess Tariq Cohen, is he droppable at this point? I know we talked about that a little last episode.
Maybe in standard leagues. In a 10-team standard league, I would drop him. 12-team, I'd keep him. PPR, I'd keep him regardless.
I think he's just a borderline guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if he keeps throwing touchdown passes, he's definitely got to keep him. But it looks like it's pretty much Jordan Howard's role. He's finally solidifying that role again.
He had 36 carries last week.
Carries.
Yeah, that's monstrous.
Yeah, granted, it did go into overtime, but they were just feeding him constantly. Which that's what they should do because the weapons in the passing game aren't there.
No.
All right, on the Panthers side of the ball, both Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess, they're getting a heavy dose of targets. So obviously Kelvin Benjamin's the guy to own, but I think Devin Funchess is a very, very capable fantasy receiver.
I think he's a solid tier 3 wide receiver kind of guy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then Christian McCaffrey, currently tied with DeAndre Hopkins at 5th overall with 37 receptions on the year. So he's that's just ridiculous. The amount of targets he is getting, and they're finally getting him the ball out of the backfield. If he's getting 10 plus targets a game at the running back position, oh my gosh.
He's taken Greg Olson's role of Cam's safety blanket in the middle of the field and on short yardage situations. So I think his production will only improve. And if he can keep getting in the end zone, then that's just even better.
Yeah, and like I said, great matchup here against the Bears. I got the Panthers winning this one.
I also have the Panthers.
I have the Panthers as well.
I did want to ask one question about the Bears. If the rumors are true about Martavis Bryant, do you think the Bears would be a possible landing spot for him?
I haven't really thought about it, but yeah, that does make sense.
They hardly have serviceable wide receivers at this point.
That would be a really nice slot. Obviously, Marcus Wheaton's already there, so might as well.
That's where the Steelers number 2 go to die.
Either go to the Bears.
Yeah,
right,
just a thought.
Yeah, I mean that's a definitely good spot for him. Titans and Browns.
What a game!
I almost had this as an upset pick, but I don't know. The Titans are looking kind of okay.
They're serviceable.
Yeah, well, at what point? The Browns are going to win a game this season, right?
That's not as sure of a thing as
the jury's still out on that one.
I did have written down Mariota had been hobbled, but he honestly looked okay.
Did fine.
Yeah, he was more. They used him more as a pocket passer just to limit him from running, but. That I think Mariota's fine.
Hamstring's a tough thing to injure, especially for a rushing QB, but he performed just as well.
Yeah. Speaking of hamstrings, DeMarco Murray apparently is still dealing with his. He's been a little bit hobbled. Him and Derrick Henry, it's like we've been saying, it's been a true split, but honestly, it's getting close to the point, especially with DeMarco being hurt, to where Derrick Henry is getting more touches than DeMarco. I think Derrick had 20 touches in this game. DeMarco only had 14.
Yeah.
So,
which DeMarco did look a little bit hurt, but if that's something that's lingering, I would probably start Derrick Henry this week, regardless of DeMarco Murray's injury status, because in the event that they get up really big against the Browns, which is always a plausible outcome when you're playing the Browns, they're going to send in Derrick. And they're just going to let him run, and he's shown that he can be a monster.
Yeah, he's in college. He definitely showed that he can go carry the ball 40 times a game, and towards the end of the games, he's just running people over.
Yeah, and he doesn't tire. And if DeMarco Murray's out and it is a true split, I'm still fine with Derrick.
I'm not as high on Derrick Henry as you guys are. Like we've seen earlier in the season, DeMarco was the first guy out, and then
he disappeared.
Derrick Henry. Quotes took over and then didn't do anything for 3 straight games.
Yep.
And now DeMarco's hobbled again, so Derrick Henry's going to get more playing time. So I personally view Derrick Henry as a sell high guy because you don't really know. He could be that guy. He could be the guy who takes over the job and produces because he does have the talent. He is a very good running back. But I don't think that it's as sure of a thing as I do think he's an injury away from being the guy, but I don't think it's as I don't think he's going to take the job away from DeMarco Murray as long as DeMarco Murray's on that team. It will always be a split.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think? Or what was I going to say? Or if there was a situation, I know you said sell Derrick Henry, but if you had DeMarco Murray, granted, it would be ideal if you had DeMarco and Derrick Henry.
Yep.
But if you had DeMarco Murray, would you try to trade DeMarco for Derrick and kind of a wide receiver 2 type of player, like a Larry Fitzgerald or something like that?
I mean, if someone is willing to do that, then yes.
Yeah. Especially if you need a wide receiver.
Yeah, because I view DeMarco and Derrick Henry as the same kind of guy. Like, I think they're both serviceable.
Yep.
They're going to get their points, and if they get the touches. But I view Derrick Henry as the sell high, one, because he's not the de facto starter, and he is coming off of a big boom week.
Yeah.
True. All right, now Titans pass catchers, which one, I was going to have you rank them, but which one are you just one guy that you want to have the most out of all the Titans pass catchers?
Corey Davis.
Really? Still Corey Davis?
Yeah. Even though I know he hasn't played, but I think when he comes back, I think he's going to do well.
All right.
I still like Rashard Matthews. He's looked pretty good this year. I like his talent. So.
All right. Any Browns startable in this game?
Nope. Josh Gordon, if he comes back really quick.
Duke Johnson in PPR, I guess.
Duke Johnson PPR,
Yeah,
he's
Duke
a solid flex
serviceable,
play. Yeah, no RB2 status, but I think he's just usually a solid flex play, especially if you've got bye week problems.
You can count on him for like 8 to 12 touches a game, and he might break off one of his.
He had a really bad game. It just they weren't feeding him against the Texans.
Texans have a stout defense. Though.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I don't think that's the case with the Titans.
Yeah. All right. I got Titans winning.
Yeah, I've got Titans.
I have the Browns losing.
One week we're going to pick the Browns.
Yeah, 1 week. Not this one.
Jaguars and Colts. Divisional matchup. Finally getting into the divisional games. I expect Leonard Fournette to be fine.
I think he's going to be okay.
He was clear to play in the game that he got hurt on, so unless he re-aggravates something, I think he's fine.
They're just being careful with him.
Yeah, and on the Jag side of the ball, I think Fournette's pretty much the only viable player at this point. I like their receivers, but I just don't like Blake Bortles throwing to him.
Yeah, when you're only getting like max 6 targets a game, it's not that.
The only wide receiver
prospects
that you can start for the Jaguars if you have to is Marquise Lee, because he's clearly, when Blake Bortles does throw, statistically it's going to go to Marquise Lee. I mean, that's the only one getting the majority of the targets. Now how few and far between they are.
Yeah. So that's all from the Jaguars side of the ball. On the Colts side of the ball, Jags defense, very tough matchup for the Colts.
Yeah.
I think Jags are probably going to be on one of our starts list. Jacoby Brissett, he's been capable with Andrew Luck out, but not here. This matchup is Jags defense they're the real deal. I'm staying away from any Colts if I can help it.
I don't even think T.Y. is going to have a good game with Jalen Ramsey.
The Jags are excessively good against the pass, so I'd be very wary starting anyone in that passing game.
Yeah. I got the Jags winning this one.
I've got the Jags.
I do have the Jags as well.
The Jaguars. All right, Cardinals and Rams. Cardinals offense finally got something going behind Carson Palmer and newly acquired.
Behind Adrian Peterson.
Future Hall of Famer.
AD all day.
All day. But what do you expect from AP moving forward?
I think he will have a very good game this week because the Rams have a pretty run D.
Yep.
So I think that he can perform again, but also don't think that he is going to be this every week boom guy like he used to be. So
no, I do think this is going to be a good week for him. I think it also just opens up a lot of flexibility for Carson Palmer in the passing game. You saw that with
Very true.
With Larry's first touchdown. It was on the goal line. They did a play action to Adrian Peterson, and literally every Buccaneer on the field swarmed the line. And obviously, it was play action. Larry was wide open. That was just the presence of Adrian Peterson on the field, playing the way he was. That had that kind of effect on the passing game. So.
You mean Andre Ellington and Chris Johnson don't require that much respect?
Well, Chris Johnson has been cut twice in the same season by the same team.
Rams showed that their offense can hang with the top defense after defeating the Jaguars last week.
Yep.
So, granted, I think 2 of their touchdowns were either on defense or special teams.
Yeah, but I do think Goff isn't really turning the ball over. He's protecting it pretty well, and Gurley seems to be doing fine. Granted, I still think I'd be selling him because matchups are set to get tough.
Hey, Brandon knows all about my reasons for doing that.
Yeah.
I had no choice.
Are you starting any Rams pass catchers?
No.
Todd Gurley.
Yeah, that's why Todd Gurley is a pass catcher, then yes.
Yeah.
I think Sammy Watkins is droppable. I think Cooper Kupp is droppable.
Yeah. You can't rely on any of them in any given week.
All right, who you guys got winning this game?
This one was really tough.
Yeah, I literally just crossed my pick out and wrote a new one.
Yeah, I'm still debating in my head. You guys go ahead.
I got the sheep.
I will take the goats as well.
Okay, yeah, that's who I was leaning towards, so I'll go Rams.
All right. Jets and Dolphins. Jets coming off an impressive game against the Patriots that they had a chance to win. I wouldn't say
Or
really.
at least go into overtime.
Yeah, because got a bullcrap call taking away Austin Seferian-Jenkins' touchdown. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then the Dolphins coming off an even more impressive game, I think, defeating the NFC champion Falcons.
Coming back from, 20 down, 17 down?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That offense finally got going behind. Even Cutler looked
Serviceable.
pretty
It
decent.
took them a whole half to figure it out, but they got it.
Yeah. Bilal Powell could still miss this game. He could miss another week. Forte and Elijah McGuire, I guess would be. They didn't do much of anything last week. I don't know if you guys. Do you have any confidence in starting them?
No,
Neither one.
I would just stay away from the Jets.
Until
running
that's
backs.
just, and if a clear starter emerges, then it'll be a different story. But until then, I'm just staying far away.
No. All right. Now the Jets. Granted it was against the Patriots and their horrible defense.
Yeah.
But I think there are some talented guys catching the ball in New York. So rank the Jets pass catchers like I don't know, top 3 for me.
Austin Seferian-Jenkins, number 1.
Agree.
It's really tough after that.
Yeah.
I think mine is ASJ, Jermaine Kearse, and Robbie Anderson, I guess.
I'd agree too.
Yeah. I'm not super sold on the order, but
I think the point is that the only guy you want to start is probably Seferian-Jenkins.
Yeah, and if Bilal Powell and Forte are out, they clearly didn't trust Elijah McGuire to handle a workload at the running back position, so they're going to be throwing the ball. And McCown's not terrible. I mean, I've seen worse.
He's played well this year.
Yeah. All right. On the Dolphins side of the ball, I'm pretty sure you're starting J.J. obviously, Jarvis Landry. I guess we're going to still have to monitor Devontae Parker. He's dealing with an ankle injury. Hopefully,
if he's healthy, do you start him in this matchup?
Yeah, I feel okay starting him because I think if the Dolphins look anything like they did this past week, and Devontae Parker gets out there, it's going to be what we thought it was going to be from the beginning, and Devontae Parker is going to actually be a very, very good fantasy wide receiver.
Yep.
But that being said, I got the Dolphins winning this one.
I've got the Jets.
I do have the airplanes as well.
All right, Ravens and Vikings. Who do you think will be the Vikings QB this week? I know Teddy Bridgewater's back at practice. I don't expect him to.
There's no way.
No way he's playing.
Yeah.
It'll be Case Keenum.
Keenum?
Yeah, I think unless something like an alien species contacts Earth and gives Sam Bradford a new leg.
No.
Other than that, I think it'll be.
But you saw him go in 2 weeks ago, and it was just
lasted like a quarter.
He just hiked the ball and sat down, so it was really embarrassing. So I hope they don't trot him out there. They don't need to.
Yeah. Stephon Diggs dealing with a groin injury. Got to monitor that.
Yeah.
Might miss another game. Jerick McKinnon's the clear guy in the backfield, though.
Yeah.
Back-to-back 20-point games.
If you've got him, you're playing him. I mean, at this point, until he shows signs of slowing down, I have no reason to not start him.
Yeah. Do you have any faith in starting any Ravens at this point?
I think you can start Alex Collins in a flex and Buck Allen, same kind of thing. Like, I think game flow will dictate which one of them gets more carries. Alex Collins has shown explosiveness. He's carried the ball pretty efficiently throughout his time, so he just needs to hold on to the ball more.
If I had to pick one or the other, I know it's back and forth every week. If you would ask me last week, I would have said something else, but I'd say Alex Collins going forward. From what I've seen from the film, he just looks like the stronger back, and it looks like a guy that they can more reasonably rely on play after play.
Yeah, definitely not a easy matchup for the Ravens this week.
No.
So I got the Vikings winning.
I also have the Vikings winning at home.
I'll take the Norsemen.
All right, Cowboys and 49ers. Cowboys coming off an eventful bye week with Zeke having his suspension reinstated, and then, as we talked about earlier, being nullified, I guess. So Zeke's going to play this game, so obviously Alfred Morris and Darren McFadden, owners, you're going to have to wait at least a week. Maybe they'll be useful.
At this point in time, this is what we're saying.
Yeah, I don't really know if I want to drop, because I have Alfred Morris and Darren McFadden in quite a few leagues, and I don't know if I want to drop them. Or
That's a huge...
At this point, unless you really need roster spaces, I would just hold on to them because of the value that they can and will bring you in when and if he inevitably gets suspended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a great game matchup-wise for pretty much all the Cowboys. I think Dez has a big game finally, and I think Dak will be just fine. On the 49ers side of the ball, you got a new quarterback, C.J.
Beathard.
Where did that come from?
Beat hard.
Yeah, he's,
No, that... Not good. I'm sorry.
It's a pretty good matchup for the 49ers. Cowboys don't have a very good defense at all. Sorry, I'm sick. It's killing me. Are you willing to start anyone outside of Carlos Hyde, though?
Kittle's in bits. I think that George Kittle is a serviceable tight end. He's had 17 targets over the last 2 weeks, and he did play 4 years in college with our boy Beat Hard. So I think you can run him out there. And like Brandon said, the Cowboys' defense is not too intimidating this year. So
yeah, I like the name George Kittle just because Vance McDonald the past couple of years when he was always a very, very similar role to what George Kittle is doing right now.
Yeah,
and him having a rapport with the quarterback definitely helps.
And the tight end position is a wasteland. So
That too.
having anything that is shiny is good.
Yeah. I got the Cowboys in this one.
I got them boys.
I'm going to take the Goldmen in the upset.
Ooh.
They have lost 5 games this year out of their 6 by 3 points or less.
Yeah,
so
that is pretty impressive.
They're always on the cusp.
Yeah, they keep it competitive.
Yeah. All right, Seahawks and Giants. Seahawks coming off a bye week. Giants coming off a shocking victory on Sunday night over the Denver Broncos. Do you expect this to be kind of a low-scoring defensive game?
No.
I would say so, but apparently the Giants are some weird team now that apparently you're right that Odell Beckham makes their team, being on the bench makes their team great.
I knew it. I knew it.
That was a hot take, and you heard it here first.
Hey, they got to play some other how.
Yeah. No, I think the Giants' defense obviously looked pretty good against the Broncos, but I just think, Trevor Siemian is not the same player as Russell Wilson, and I think the Giants are going to have a much harder time containing Russell Wilson in that passing game with the threat of him running.
Yeah.
Whereas old bucket feet Trevor isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. Doug Baldwin, not sure if he's going to be covered by Janoris Jenkins. I'll have to look that up, but that could be a major factor in, I don't know, you might have to, if you have a better option, maybe stray away from Doug Baldwin this week. Now, in Seattle, are you trusting any of their running backs?
Still, no. I'm rostering some of them. I would roster a couple.
Procise might be back this week.
Yeah. There's a couple that I would stash, but I'm not playing any of them this week.
Yeah, I'll do my best to not put any one of them in my lineup.
Yeah. Orleans Darkwa seems to be the guy for the Giants backfield. Evan Ingram set to be a very high volume tight end, top tier guy. Really, if he keeps getting the volume that he does. Obviously, we did the this or that segment earlier, and Evan Ingram's definitely a high profile tight end.
Yep.
I got the Seahawks winning this one.
I've got the Birds.
Bengals and Steelers. Another divisional matchup. With Bengals coming off a bye and Steelers finally producing pretty much all around. Obviously, you're starting Le'Veon and Antonio Brown. Martavis Bryant, we kind of talked about earlier, if he's going to get traded or not. I'm pretty much avoiding starting him as long as he's or until he shows something.
Yeah.
At this point,
he's not getting the targets. He's not getting the snap counts. He's
not
just
doing anything with the targets he gets.
Yeah, he's just not doing anything.
Yeah, and then you mentioned earlier as well, Juju Smith-Schuster and Eli Rogers coming back.
It'll be interesting because I like what you said about Eli Rogers. I mean, that could be a deep, sneaky play, but I just don't think they can just throw away what Juju's been able to do. I mean, he's been so reliable. I mean, it's just, and he's built that confidence with Big Ben.
And he had a Dragon Ball Z touchdown celebration.
Instantly shoots him to the top of our rankings.
All right, now on the Bengals side of the ball, I'll preface this by saying Steelers had the number 1 pass defense in the league, number 3 defense overall. They held the Chiefs to 6 yards in the first half last week.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. What do you expect from Joe Mixon, assuming that he really is the guy going forward?
It's a tough matchup this week.
Yeah, I think he certainly is the guy. Yeah. And I think that I'm very high on the Bengals this week for the reason that they are coming off a bye week. It's a division rivalry. They play those games tough. I think that they're going to be able to game plan against the Steelers pretty well and get Joe Mixon the ball in good spots. So I'd start him as a flex. I don't think he's like a must start. I don't think he's there yet, but
yeah.
I think he'll be serviceable.
Yeah. Another thing to monitor: John Ross might be back practicing this week, so Bengals really need a downfield threat like that.
Yeah, spread the field so it's not AJ Green or die.
Yeah. I will ask: is there any? I never thought I'd ask this question, but is there any worry for AJ Green this week? Obviously, like I said, number 1 pass defense with the Steelers, and Joe Hayden has just come out of nowhere from his. Obviously, we saw what he could do early on in his career with the Browns, but he started looking old and just bad basically towards the end. Yeah. But now he's on the Steelers and he's looking fantastic. So any worry?
No. He's AJ Green. He's gonna get his.
He's one of those top 8 to 9 wide receivers that are matchup proof every week. That no matter what you're doing, you're plugging them in.
Yeah. I kind of like Tyler Kroft in this game. If you're looking for a tight end, obviously Eifert I think is done for the year, and Kroft has looked good with Andy Dalton. So possible sleeper pick there.
Yep.
I got the Steelers winning this one.
I also have the Steelers, but I don't feel confident about it.
I've got them Cats.
Yeah, I like that pick.
All right. Broncos and Chargers, another divisional game. Important one at that. Broncos coming off a disappointing loss to the hampered Giants. Trevor Siemian was dealing with a shoulder injury that game, so we're going to have to monitor that. Emmanuel Sanders, he's going to be out for a few weeks. Demaryius Thomas, are you worried about him? Speaking of cornerback matchups again, Demaryius Thomas probably going up against Casey Hayward. Any worry there?
I think there's more worry there than with the other guys we've mentioned because Demaryius doesn't have the rapport as being like a do-it-himself elite guy. Like the years that he's been elite was with Peyton Manning and Trevor Siemian
and Tim Tebow.
Anyway,
but yeah, I do want to mention Demaryius Thomas I believe he got some sort of leg injury in that game too.
He left for a while and then came back in. So
he was playing through it because they had to have someone to catch the ball.
C.J. Anderson, basically, I mentioned this before. He just needs more carries to get going. If they want to beat the Chargers, because obviously they're down receiving weapons, they need to start running the ball like they were the first couple weeks with C.J. Anderson and Jamal Charles and even Devontae Booker. So I like the matchup for C.J., but they have to actually use them for it to be relevant.
Yeah, I liked the matchup last week, and we saw what that happened.
Yeah. On the Chargers side of the ball, Melvin Gordon's he's a beast.
Yeah, golly.
Every time I watch him, it's
just a monster.
It's better and better. When he first came in, I was just like, he looks and runs like it's like Jamal Charles-esque.
Yeah.
He's not as fast or as agile as him, but it's like Jamal Charles-esque with power.
Yeah.
And some of his stiff arms are just, it's not even fair. Now, Broncos, tough matchup for receivers. Are you confident starting any Chargers receivers this week?
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I think you can run out Keenan Allen just because
he had a down week last week.
He's going to get 10 targets. He's going to get his yards.
The target share is safely his.
Yeah, I like Hunter Henry in this game quite a bit because if there is a way to attack the Broncos through the air, it's through the tight ends.
Yep.
All right, I get the Broncos winning this one. This is a tough one.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go Chargers.
I'm going to stick with the Horse Lords.
Not the Lightning Bolts. All right, Falcons and Patriots, Sunday Night Football, Super Bowl rematch. We've all been waiting for this one. Falcons and Patriots have kind of looked just meh so far this year. Falcons obviously coming off a disappointing loss to the Dolphins. Patriots are winning games but struggling to do so. Do you expect this to be... I have written down fantasy goldmine.
Yeah.
Pretty much play everyone in this game because the defenses are not very good.
No. I think there's going to be a whole lot of points. I mean, it's prime time. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good one. Yeah, so I'm pretty much starting all Falcons and most Patriots, and I say most because the running backs situation there, just rank the Patriots running backs at this point.
Dion Lewis. I don't know where to put Rex Burkhead.
Well, he's still got to get healthy too.
Yeah, I know. So right now, without Rex Burkhead, I'd go Dion Lewis, Mike Gillislee, and
James White.
Yeah, James White. Sorry. No, well, yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah,
mine would be James White, Dion Lewis, and Gillislee.
Yeah, Gillislee's definitely, I think, behind White and Lewis at this point. Which I don't know. They don't really have a solid goal line back, but they can still get it done regardless. Just put one of those guys in there.
Yep.
I got the Falcons actually winning this one, getting the revenge game.
I actually do think I don't buy into the narrative, but I think that the Falcons offense can get it done versus this Patriots defense.
I have the Tea Party winning this one.
The Tea Party. Yeah, the only reason I picked the Falcons, I just think, I don't know, the Patriots haven't played a good offense yet, and if their defense keeps playing like they're doing, there have been, it's not going to be pretty.
It'll be tough. I don't know. It'll be especially tough playing in Foxborough.
That too.
It'll be a good game.
And the Falcons haven't looked good that great either. So
no,
I don't know. Maybe a game of mediocrity. Surprisingly,
I'll bet on Brady.
Yeah.
All right, Redskins and Eagles, Monday Night Football, another important divisional matchup. Eagles at this point look like the team to beat in the NFC. Carson Wentz a must-start fantasy QB going forward, in my opinion. Wendell Smallwood is actually expected to play. So does that lower your expectations for LeGarrette Blount?
I don't think they could go lower.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Alshon Jeffrey, really liking this game. No Josh Norman.
Yeah, that's huge for him.
Yeah, I don't really know when exactly Norman will be back, but he's still dealing with a broken rib, so we'll have to monitor that. Rob Kelly could also be back this week. Obviously, that running back situation in Washington isn't ideal, but I'm pretty sure Chris Thompson, I don't know if you guys agree, is the clear back to own.
I would agree.
Yeah, he's the playmaker. He's the big play guy. Really, he's the only big play guy on that team at the moment.
Mm-hmm. P. Ryan's not getting it done.
No, he's not. Surprisingly, I expected a lot more from P. Ryan this year.
Me too.
Do you have any confidence in any Redskins pass catcher in this game?
For counting Chris Thompson, then I have confidence in Chris Thompson. But other than that,
well, I wouldn't say confidence, but I would like to see more from Josh Doxson.
I would too. Man, he's looked good. When he's getting targeted, he looks really, really good. He looks like a receiver, unlike Terrell Pryor. But if I were to rank the Redskins like pass catchers at this point, I'd probably still put Jordan Reed at the top.
Oh yeah.
I think I'd put honestly Josh Doxson second, then Pryor, then Crowder, and then honestly, I might even throw Ryan Grant in before Crowder because he's looked horrible. But Yeah, I don't know. Redskins just scare me too much. I still got the Eagles winning this one.
Yeah, I got the Eagles winning.
All right, so
Another
that's all for the matchups. Before we get into the starts and sits, you guys, I guess, pretty much finish your beverage.
Yeah.
Was
it was good.
How-
I do. It was a little bit of pumpkin spice in there.
I'm a sucker for pumpkins.
It is super pumpkin.
Yeah.
All I want to hear.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, again,
Had a pumpkin coffee cake this morning. Man.
It's that time of year, baby. Speaking of, I meant to tell you guys, Katie, or my sister Katie, bought a bunch of pumpkins the other day, and she was carving a bunch and just like putting like letters and things into them. And I was like, "Yo, can you make one that says the 423 football?" And then I wake up this morning and she's got it done.
Wow.
So
Nice.
I'll put that on, or I'll post that on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
That's awesome.
Pretty
We
soon.
are a pumpkin now.
We are we are actually a pumpkin. But yeah, again, that beer, if you're interested, Shipyard Brewing Company's Pumpkinhead. Again,
Give it a perfect 5 out of 7.
we do not take any money from any of these beverage companies. We just like drinking.
But if you know anyone who works at Shipyard Brewing Company, we gladly will take them.
Agreed.
All right, gonna move into our starts and sits. This is the real value. This is where the money's made. Granted, last week was not pretty.
Don't worry, I'm here to right the ship.
All right, starts and sits. Here we go. Quarterback position. Who we starting this week, guys?
I am starting Carson Wentz versus the Redskins. We just went through that game. I think it's a very, very winnable matchup. It's on Monday night. He's got a lot of time to prep and rest. He's been playing lights out this year.
Even though my start, even though he's been on a little downturn, would be Matty Ice, because Patriots D is not good.
Yeah, definitely can't go
is-
wrong there.
I don't believe in revenge narratives, but it is a Super Bowl rematch. It is prime time, big stage kind of thing. So
Yeah. Mine's going to be Marcus Mariota going up against the Browns. He's still a little bit hobbled with a hamstring injury, but I think he's going to be fine, and obviously the matchup's fantastic. Moving into sits at the quarterback position, I'm going with Jameis Winston against the Bills. Jameis might not even play. We have to monitor that. It might be Ryan Fitzpatrick, but either way, I'm not starting either of them. Bills have been very, very good against quarterbacks, and just their pass defense has been outstanding in general, yet to give up a touchdown to wide receivers. So I'm sitting Jameis this week. What about you guys?
I'm sitting Jacoby Brissett. He was a popular streamer last week, which is fine, but he's playing the Jaguars. Terrible matchup for him. He's been serviceable since filling in for Andrew Luck, but not in this game.
I'm going to be sitting Brett Hundley. It's first technical game starting in the Packers uniforms, and he is going up against the Saints defense, and they have been, in the past weeks, they've been just getting after the quarterback with sacks and playing aggressively on defense, getting picks, and I just don't, with the Packers Packers offensive line hobbled, I don't think that they can withstand that onslaught.
All right, moving to our running back starts. Running back start of the week for me is going to be Jerick McKinnon. I think he's pretty much clearly solidified that number one role.
Yeah.
Ravens defenses, they're not terrible, but Jordan Howard and the Bears ran all over him last week. So I think Jerick McKinnon, especially catching the ball in the backfield, is going to be very beneficial this week. What about you guys?
I'm going to start Christian McCaffrey versus the Bears. I think this is a great matchup for him. We saw him get all kinds of targets last week, 14. And I think that he's settling into that role nicely. And I think this is another good matchup this week for him.
Yeah, I think I do want to say I think Jonathan Stewart is pretty much, it's finally at the point where Jonathan Stewart is getting towards the end.
Yeah.
And Christian McCaffrey's taken over.
That sounded kind of dark.
Well,
he is ending.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be like a situation.
No, they'll
like the
still
past
throw-
couple of years, like where like David Johnson steps into the role and Christian McCaffrey's not going to be David Johnson, but
Yeah.
he's going to be very, very serviceable.
Christian McCaffrey's
Yeah.
also not an every down back.
Right,
Even if
yeah.
Jonathan Stewart goes down, they're going to bring somebody else on. He's not
Yeah.
that kind of running back.
No.
My start is Jay Ajayi. He's been struggling the last couple weeks getting production, even though he's gotten a lot of volume. But this week he turned it on, averaging almost 5 yards a carry, going for 130 yards, carrying them to an impressive win against the Falcons. So I think he can repeat that performance against the Jets and hopefully get in the end zone for the first time this year.
Yeah, his volume is just the fact that he's getting that many touches is very, very good sign for JHI.
Yeah.
Moving to running back sits of the week. Who we got at sitting this week at the running back position?
All the Jets running backs.
All of them.
I just sit them all. I don't want any part of them, whether it's Elijah McGuire, Bilal Powell, Matt Forte. Just take your pick, sit them all.
All right.
I am on a similar note with the Seattle running backs.
I agree.
I do not think that any of them are a sure enough thing that they're worth a roster spot.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to be sitting Marshawn Lynch this week against the Chiefs. We basically said Marshawn Lynch is borderline droppable at this point. Obviously, you can probably trade him for something, but
You can package trade them for sure.
it's very, very hard to trust the guy at this point.
Yep.
So, yeah, sitting Marshawn Lynch. Moving to wide receivers starts of the week, I'm going to be starting Alshon Jeffrey against the Redskins. We talked about that briefly a few minutes ago. No Josh Norman in this game. I think Alshon Jeffrey, this is going to be one of his better games of the season.
Yeah. Going along with Kevin's start of the week at QB, I'm going to be starting Julio Jones versus the Patriots.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocking you're going to start Julio Jones, but I think...
It's been a down year. He hasn't.
Yeah,
he hasn't
exactly.
rushed himself.
Yeah. But this is... I don't think that the Patriots have a cornerback that can keep up with him.
Most teams don't have a cornerback that can keep up with
That's
Julio
true.
Jones.
That's true. But I think. I mean, it's hard to know what they're going to do. But I think I'm expecting a lot of points scored in this game, and I think Julio's going to have a fine day.
I've been waiting on them to, like, they say they want to target him more in the red zone and the end zone.
And they don't.
Literally,
It's so frustrating.
I can't recall a time where I've seen them, like, the Falcons throw, like, a fade in
Yeah.
the end zone to Julio Jones. And Julio is
Yeah.
just as, like, obviously Des Bryant's been, he's leading the league in end zone targets.
Yeah.
Why not do that with Julio Jones? Julio Jones is a superior
No
talent
idea.
to Dez, and he
I
can
have
go
no
up.
idea.
But, like, I've never seen in the end zone Julio, like, go up on these fade routes and, like, go over top someone. But he can.
Yeah.
And we know he can.
Everyone knows he can, but they're just not letting him.
Yeah, all right, who you got starting?
The Patriots wide receivers, like both Chris Hogan and Brandon Cooks. I think that they're both going to have good games in that inevitable shootout on Sunday night. I like Brandon Cooks a little more than Chris Hogan, just because he's been trending to getting. He's got that rapport going with Brady now. He's gotten every week. He's gotten more and more targets. So I like a big game from the Pats wide receivers this week.
I will say that coming from just the pass catchers for the Patriots, just all around, I think it's going to be a big Gronk game. You're obviously starting him,
Always.
but
Yeah.
I don't. One of those receivers I feel like is going to either Hogan or Cooks is going to have a really, really bad week. I don't know which one it's going to be. I think Amendola actually has a pretty good week this week, but I don't know. I have a feeling that because I mean Falcons have some decent cornerbacks and secondary players with Desmond Trufant, Robert Alford, and Keanu Neal, but I don't know. I don't. It's something, a gut feeling or something. One of those guys is gonna. Obviously, Chris Hogan was last week, but
Yeah, he was a dud.
I don't know. That's pretty much every week. That one of them is gonna bust. But
Yeah.
moving on to wide receiver sits of the week, I'm going Keenan Allen against the Broncos. Broncos shut down corners basically. Aqib Talib and Chris Harris. Keenan Allen really hasn't looked phenomenal so far this year, and I think the Chargers receivers are pretty much going to have nothing going this game.
Yeah. I'm going to be sitting Martavis Bryant versus the Bengals. I don't think you can confidently start him. We said coming in he has a propensity to be a boom or bust player, and so far it's been all bust and no boom. So he stayed on the bench.
I'm going to say T.Y. Hilton
Yeah, I like that.
Colts playing Jags. They are very stout on defense, especially in the passing game. I think that Tua Hilton always has the possibility to have one of those games where he just goes for like 170 yards, but I wouldn't bet on it against the Jags, especially with Jacoby Brissett throwing him the ball.
Yeah. Moving to the tight end position, who you starting at tight ends this week, guys?
Nate Cameron Braid again.
Mike and Bright.
Yep, he's a touchdown or he's end zone target every week.
Extraordinaire.
We saw no matter if Jameis is still hurt and Fitzmagic has to play, he's going to be tossing him in there.
Yeah, I actually like. I know we still haven't seen much out of him, but I think O.J. Howard might actually have a pretty good week because, again, the outside corners for the Bills have been shutting down people all year. So I think there's a lot of value in the middle of the field with Bright and O.J. Howard. Who'd you have starting at tight end this week, Kevin?
Got Jimmy Graham.
Jimbo.
The Giants did a pretty poor job covering the Broncos tight ends this last week. So Jimmy Graham is obviously a superior talent to any Broncos tight end. So I think that he'll be able to have his way with the Giants defense.
I miss the old Jimmy Graham. I miss him so much.
He was fun to watch.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Literally, we had two tight ends that could have been the best of all time. Really, Gronk and Jimmy Graham.
I will say Evan Ingram reminds me of old Jimmy Graham, just a little smaller, runs the same way, runs routes really efficiently.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm starting Delaney Walker this week at the tight end position. I was going back and forth between him and Hunter Henry. I think Walker has a little bit better matchup with the Browns. Mariota was my start of the week at QB. Might as well pair him with Delaney Walker. Moving to tight end sits, I'm going to be sitting Martellus Bennett this week against the Saints. A lot of people think that now that Rodgers is done, this young quarterback will rely on the tight end and really focus, dump off to the tight end. People usually think...
Yeah, younger QBs have a tendency to focus on the big guy.
Yeah, but I don't know. Martellus Bennett, even with Rodgers, has looked crappy.
It's just bad.
So I'm not liking Martellus Bennett this week. What do you guys think?
Definitely agree with that, but I'm going to be sitting Antonio Gates. One, he's playing the Broncos. Tough matchup. Mm-hmm. Two, Hunter Henry's superior, and I think they're just leaning more and more on him. And Antonio Gates is still going to go in. He's not done as a football player, but as far as fantasy value, I think it's plummeted.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Jack Doyle as a sit this week.
Doyle.
Same kind of logic as Tua Hilton, just can't bet on a pass catcher against the Jags defense, especially on a poor offense, but even more so with Jack Doyle as he doesn't have that big playability as Tua Hilton does.
All right, going to do our defense starts and sits real quick. We'll go through. We'll just name them real quick because we're getting close on time. I'm going to be starting the Panthers defense, sitting the Packers defense.
I'm going to be starting whoever's playing the Browns, which happens to be the Titans, and I'm going to be sitting the Falcons versus the Patriots.
I'm going to start the Saints against the Packers and sit the Steelers against the off-bye Bengals.
Yeah, and obviously, if you have, I want to mention the Jags too, because you're most likely starting them if you have them.
Yeah. That's an every week start.
All right, before we close out, I do want to mention, got a bit of an update on the Zeke front. Ezekiel Elliott is apparently the NFL's thinking, or like the whole reason behind him being able to play is the evidence that, like, the lack of evidence, I guess I should say, is basically the reason behind them saying it's okay for Zeke to play. They're just saying just fundamental fairness. I don't really know exactly what they're trying to say there, but I guess there's just lack of evidence and he's able to play. So, which I don't know. I don't want to get too deep in on the Ezekiel Elliott situation.
You could make a whole podcast on that.
Yeah, we really could. But I
30 for 30 on it.
I just think, obviously, I mean, Roger Goodell has a ton of power, and it's the NFLPA for one gave him that power, so it's kind of they're just kind of whining at their mistake.
It's like the prequels all over again.
But Goodell is. I think it's fair to suspend or have the right to say Zeke should be suspended for at least some portion of the season. Obviously, the grounds mainly were the domestic violence issue, like one specific issue, and that would obviously be 6 games. But there's no question Zeke over this past offseason has been in a ton of trouble and put himself in spots where it's very unflattering. Obviously, the pulling the chick's top down on the boat, bar fight.
Yeah,
and
he's had his fair share. That speeding ticket.
Yeah,
over 100 miles an hour or something like that.
And if the NFLPA can just go in anytime someone's suspended and do this, then it's going to open up a whole new can of worms for
that's true.
The future. Yeah. All right, so just I don't know. We'll probably be monitoring this again for a long, long time. So that's going to be our show for today. We'll be back on Friday to talk our own league of record. Hopefully, I assume it'll be the 3 of us again, and then I don't know, maybe Steele or Peyton or something like that. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the423football. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Give us a like and leave your comments. Don't forget to share us with pretty much everyone you know. If you're on Facebook and Twitter, just hit the share or retweet button. It'll really, really help out the podcast. So thanks for listening, and we are the 423 Football Podcast.
Peace out.
Skrr.